As part of our southern focus on the local body elections, tonight we meet the candidates standing for Mayor of Central Otago. The South today was at a candidates forum in Alexandra, organised by the Otago Chamber of Commerce and the Otago Daily Times.
I don't need any introduction to this community. I've been working passionately for 23 years promoting Central Otago as a great place to live, work and play. I think you all know me. You know I get the job done. And it's a miracle I'm still standing because, as we all know, in 2 days' time we celebrate Blossom Festival, and I can guarantee you I've got the weather organised for it as well. Right, on to the issues. Well, it is growth, and it's how we manage that, but it's more than that. It's how we look forward the next 3 or in the next 30 years. We need to have the infrastructure in place to support the growth. We're getting more and more people interested in living here, and as I've previously stated,
Myself, brief personal background, I'm a lawyer. My office is just straight over there. I work in the court, which is where I've got to be at 9:15 because I'm sitting as dispute tribunal referee. They can't start without me, so I've got to be there on time. So that's 2 of my 3 jobs. I'm also one of your Central Lakes trustees, so that's an important role too in this community. I also spent 5 years on the Vincent Community Board, so I know about how local government works. I know how important it is to do all the research, the background. I know how important it is to ask the questions and then question the answers that the staff give you. I've owned 2 businesses in this town. One of them was a wine shop. That lasted exactly 1 year that it had left on the lease. And when we walked away from it, my wife and I were the only people that had left owing money to. That was a bit of a blow, but it taught us very much how hard it is to run a business in any town, but in a small town in particular. Second business, as I say, my own law practice, been going 6 years, still going strong, although it may be shutting down in a couple of weeks, because if I'm elected, I'll be closing almost all of my law practice, just keeping a tiny fraction of it. I'll be walking away from the Central Lakes Trust election process, and I will be handing in my warrant from the Governor General as a dispute tribunal referee. I've lived in Central Otago for 21 years. I came to Cromwell, then Alexandra and Clyde, so I've lived throughout the region. I lived in Queenstown before that, and Balclutha and Dunedin before that. Never lived outside of Otago. When I first came here, I was a solo dad with a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. I was on the DPB. I stayed on the DPB as long as it took me to get back onto work, but I was still a solo dad for 6 years after that, so I know what hard times are like. I know how hard it can be to get ahead. I'm going to be a full-time mayor. As I've said, I'm going to be giving up all but about 5% of my current workload to devote all my energies to this region. So that's enough about me. What do I intend to do in the role? First question, what are the key issues facing the district? Well, the number one thing is growth, and it's actually growth in a way that very few other small towns or regions, or any of the regions, have in New Zealand. It's positive growth as opposed to negative growth. We're not having to plan for decay, we're having to plan for growth. Statistics New Zealand 2 years ago predicted in the next 30 years a 16.8% growth in Central Otago. That's not counting Queenstown, they're looking at 70.2% in Queenstown Lakes, but we're still doing very well on 16.8. That growth's got to be sustainable. We are right now the envy of virtually every small region in New Zealand. We've got to have leadership though in that growth to care enough to know that nobody's left behind. We had a business group meeting, a women in business group meeting or forum at Monteith, where other candidates found out that there's some kids getting fed their lunches by the schools at the moment in Central Otago. That came as a shock. It doesn't come as a shock to me because I'm already in with some of the areas that are struggling already. In Cromwell you can see with the price of housing and the increases, particularly rent increases for the elderly, just how hard that is making people have to struggle day to day. So yes, let's keep the growth happening. Let's make sure it's sustainable. All of that is great, by and large works for everybody. But you've got to have somebody at the top who's also keeping an eye on the people at the bottom. because if you don't, those people, they get left behind, and it's just hard. So I say you can't train attitude and you can't train empathy either. How would I push for jobs? Well, I actually look at this group, the Chamber of Commerce, as being fundamental to that. I already attend the Alexandra Business Group breakfasts and the Cromwell Business Group breakfasts when work allows me. As a full-time mayor, I should be able to do it virtually all the time. I've attended the Mayoral Business Group breakfast when their bank shut down and want to get further involved in that group. Tibet Valley have a business group breakfast that I want to get involved with as well. All of these all of the towns in our region have got business groups running. They're all doing great things. I see the Chamber as being the umbrella group that can make sure that everybody knows what the other groups are doing and what they're saying. And as Mayor, I want to be involved with the advisory group of the Chamber, if they'll let me, so that I sit in on those meetings as well as all the other groups and bring the businesses together. Because when you talk about work and development, it's the small businesses that do it. That's the first 2 minutes?
Your first 2 minutes was actually, you can take it as a fraction longer.
Oh, wow! Doesn't time go fast when you're having fun?
The first one was so silent, I think it was only Tony and I heard it.
Right, I'll fly along. The next question is, are you concerned about the amounts of council spending and how will you keep rates down? It's by asking the question why and not accepting that's the way we've always done it. It'll be why again. And finally, how will I relate with other councils? As I say, I've lived right throughout Otago. I know a lot of people throughout the region. I think I'll get on okay with the council to the south of us. I know 3 or 4 personally of the councillors that are already, well, they're not already elected because they've got elections for council over in Queenstown, but I've got a good relationship with several of the incumbent councillors, and it's all about communication and relationships. I get on well with most people. Thank you.
Guys, thank you very much for turning up. This is our 7th one of these, so we can sort of practice that up, but some of the rules around this are a bit different, but I'm wasting my time. I suppose I better do my background. I'm well educated, Canterbury University, Cadogan Rural Scholar from Lepper University as well. I've run small businesses all my life. I build stuff, that's what I do. I've an extensive sports governance background, chair of Central Otago for 7 years, currently on the board of Bowls New Zealand, and Sport New Zealand has invested heavily in my governance capability. Some of you won't know, I'm a patron of the Duke of Edinburgh Awards, and I'm also a judge of the New Zealander of the Year. Okay, some people have got faith in what I can do, and I've also been your mayor for the last 6 years. And I've also got my wife Bernie, who is heavily involved in education and social services and works closely with me all the time in my job, and that's a huge advantage. And the other thing which I can bring to this job is I've had 6 years as your mayor. I have the confidence of your senior councillors. The majority of those people are elected already. I work extremely closely with our new CEO, and I dispute what Martin said that the CEO has her plans, she has our plans and my plans, and we work together on running our council. So the day after the election, in fact the morning of the election or the afternoon, we are ready to go, and that's what I bring. All right? Let's answer some of the questions. Key issues facing Central Otago currently, for the first time, and I never thought I'd have to say this. Oh no, probably not. When I first arrived here in 1983, I thought affordability was a problem. I think once again affordability of living here is a problem. When I arrived back in 83, buying a house was almost equivalent to buying a house in Auckland. All right? And once again we're facing that as well. Another issue is, we talk about growth, 16.8%, I can live with that, but what we've got to have to back that up is the infrastructure that will make us, turn us into a modern world. We've currently got Cromwell up there with a wastewater system that is not capable of satisfying the needs of a modern world. We're tipping stuff into the Pluto River that shouldn't, So we've got plans to upgrade almost all the infrastructure in Central Otago, and that's some of the projects that I want to start in the next 3 years. So I think that's important. And we can do that with rates increases of about 3.5%. It sounds expensive, but look, we've been given a legacy of stuff that hasn't been done, and I'm going to make sure it's done. All right? Housing, we need a bigger variety of housing, and we're talking about that. I don't believe in sprawl. I believe in making our towns more. I like the village concept rather than people just spreading out and ruining out agricultural land. Jobs and economic development. I think currently it's looking after itself, but that's not always the way. But our council, we're good advocates. We're working in that irrigation area. We're working with seasonal solutions. We're working with seasonal housing. So, there's some work the council can do there, but currently things are going all right, and the chamber's helping us out, so that's good. My goal is to make our council the best council in New Zealand and being able to prove to you that it is. All right? And as far as council spending goes, I can't see how I can keep our rates increases below 3.5% to 4% if we've got to do this infrastructure work. I could stop spending on economic development and tourism, and it would make no difference. It's about 0.5% or 1% if I took that expenditure away, and I think we've got to keep that going. And collaboration, 17A reviews, you probably don't know what they are, but I do, and they will make sure we collaborate with our neighbours. Thank you.